Perfect. So thank you so much for coming and registering for my UK Global Talent Visa Inspirational webinar. Today we are going to talk about what is the Global Talent Visa, and I know some of you already know a little bit about it, but I'll just recap. I'll talk about the stage 1 endorsement application and process, the guidelines, and then I'll interview Bosko Radivojevic, who just recently received his visa, and then you can then ask your questions to Bosko as well. Please pop it in the chat or the Q&A and we'll get to your questions after my interview. So hopefully you already know a little bit about myself, but if you don't, my name is Michelle Hewer. I'm Vietnamese, Australian, and finally a British citizen. I'm a global talent visa coach, and in 2016, I was actually an exceptional talent recipient myself, and then I became the Tech Nation Visa Ambassador for 2 years. And the reason why was because back then in 2016, I know it wasn't long ago, no one knew about this visa, so they asked people who were successful to be an ambassador to share their story and to encourage others to apply. The great thing about this visa is that it is a route to settlement. So in 2019, after 3 years, I received my indefinite leave to remain, which is like a permanent residency. And then after that, I applied for my British citizenship. So I've got that. So it's that process was very easy. There are a few criteria that you need to meet as well, but it's not as hard as getting the global talent visa, in my view. I spent 7 years in the UK and based myself in Manchester, up in the north of England, and Newcastle, and I regularly traveled down to London. So 3 great tech ecosystems. What you get out of the tech ecosystem and industry is what you put in. So I was very active in the tech community and really enjoyed my time there. Before I became a tech entrepreneur, I was a solicitor in Australia. I got bitten by the tech entrepreneurship journey and did that, and was the CEO and founder of my own startup, Made with Glove. I don't run it anymore because I'm doing this full time, which I really enjoy. You can have a look at my Tech Nation Visa blog, which was how I started. I actually wrote about my journey when I received my endorsement. That went viral, and that's how I started helping a lot of people on their journey as well. So I've helped over 500 tech entrepreneurs, senior execs, and tech employees over the last 5 years. My success rate is now 90%. And while there is a 54% success rate and the decision can take up to 8 weeks, some of my clients have received their decision within 3 to 27 hours, which is amazing. So, but usually the average is about 3 to 4 weeks. Some of my clients over the years have been people from working for WhatsApp, Sony, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, Zoom, Oracle, but then I help loads of different people, startups, CTOs, CEOs, UX designers, graduates. There's a whole load of people that I help. And this is the reason why I love what I do. Everyone has their own story, even though they may have the same roles, but everyone has a different story to share and tell. And this is why I love doing what I do, because I meet so many great people. I'm only a coach in the stage 1 endorsements, and this is what this webinar is about. And I'm not affiliated with the Home Office or Tech Nation, other than I'm a Tech Nation Visa alumni. So before, when I applied for my endorsement, I was very active, as I said. So I was featured in, I was interviewed, I was quoted. So these are the types of things that the Tech Nation assessor look for, especially under the leadership criteria and under the proof of recognition criteria. So, they encourage you to be extremely active in the tech community to show that you have some thought leadership in this space. And here is where I started writing my blog. So if you want to, you can have a look at my story. It just tells of how I felt when I got it, what the guidelines were back then, and just a really authentic and genuine story about how I got it. So I really enjoyed writing it and loved talking to people about how I got it, because it is a life-changing experience. And I'm so pleased that it was available to me at the time. So these are some of my successful clients. They range from all different parts of the world, which is another reason why I love what I'm doing, from Egypt, India, US, Mexico, Serbia, Nigeria, Ukraine, Pakistan. So loads of people from different countries. So quickly, what is the Global Talent Visa? It was the Exceptional Talent Visa, which was what I got, but essentially it is the Global Talent Visa. It was a special visa that was introduced to allow highly skilled tech entrepreneurs and talent in digital tech the ability to apply for the right to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years. It's a two-stage process. So the first stage is you have to be endorsed by Tech Nation by meeting the strict criteria that they set before you can apply for the visa if you are endorsed. It seems like a job application, but it is more than a job application. And the hashtag is Tech Nation Visa if you want to look it up, because the Global Talent Visa is an umbrella visa for lots of different categories as well. So digital tech is one, there's science and engineering, there's arts and culture, there's research as well. But we're only dealing with the digital tech global talent visa. The benefits is that it gives you the freedom and flexibility to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years, and then you can apply for indefinite leave to remain and British citizenship. You can bring your dependents with you, your spouse, which is great. A lot of people do that because, you know, it allows them to bring their family, which is amazing. You can register a UK limited company as well. This is particularly important when I help graduates because they're on their own visa, their student visa, and that visa doesn't allow them to start their own companies. So they switch to the global talent, which then allows them to do that. You can also work for a tech company without the need for a company sponsorship. So the visa stays with you, and you don't have to worry about, you know, staying in a job that you may or may not like. This visa is very easy. It allowed me to run my startup, but also take a break from it. I worked for a university, and then I worked for an accelerator, and then went back to my startup. So it was very flexible. It is cost effective in the stage 1 application process. So it's, I'll go through that in a sec, but you know, I applied for an entrepreneur's visa. That was quite expensive, and I've had other visas, but this is the stage 1 endorsement is only £456, so it's in the hundreds, not thousands. But stage 2 is a different story, and that's a bit more expensive. The real benefits, though, when you get your visa, which I found and a lot of my clients found, is not only do you get endorsed for exceptional talent or exceptional promise, but the knock-on effect is, again, as I say, it's life-changing. It gives you credibility that, you know, someone has endorsed you, or UK government has endorsed you. It gives you a bit of credibility. It also gives you confidence because you know, if I worked as a startup entrepreneur, I didn't have a boss to tell me I was doing a good job. I didn't have anyone, you know, for that fact to say that. So this just boosted my confidence a little bit, a lot actually, so that, you know, I could feel a bit more secure in what I was doing. Some of my clients have achieved promotions in their jobs as well, because, you know, even though this visa is attached to them, they can actually look for another job. So they were more confident in asking for promotions and pay rises because the company they worked for didn't supply them with a visa. They had their own visa, so there was no reason for them to stay if they didn't want to. So they were more confident in applying for promotions again, and also allows you to negotiate your salary as well. It gives you lots of opportunities. You become, you know, a role model for people in your own countries as well. I help a lot of clients in different countries, and then all of a sudden people from their own countries are asking them, how did they get it? How can they do it as well? And how can they follow their footsteps? And it also gives you a sense of security. So a lot of my clients say that, you know, now that they've got this visa, in the next 5 years, they can apply for their permanent residency or indefinite leave to remain. So they can really think about the next 5 years. They can actually buy property and know that their time in the UK is secure, so they can make these decisions to secure their future. So these are some of the stats. You know, a lot of people from USA, India, Nigeria, Canada, Russia, that's like a lot of people applying from those countries, but there are 90+ countries that people are applying for, but that's just the stat saying that the most people. There's a 54% endorsement rate, which isn't great. It's just means that 1 in 2 are unsuccessful, but you can always reapply if you are unsuccessful. There's been 3,000+ successful recipients since it started. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when I applied, there was a cap in the number of endorsements that Tech Nation were giving. I think it was 200 per year, but now there's no cap. So anyone who applies can potentially be endorsed. people can apply for talent or promise. So there's stats there, 68 versus 32. There's a 75-25% rate for men versus women. We know that there are a lack of women in the tech sector. So I try to sort of help more women enter the tech sector and stay in the tech sector. And then once you are endorsed and you get your visa, you can join the Tech Nation Visa Alumni, and it's another community which I join as well. And it's a great little support system and network that's available to people who have received the visa. So over the years, you can see that, I applied in 2016, which is not on this table because not many people knew about it. I was one of the top 50 that got it. But over the years, you can see that it has increased in applications, not endorsements. The applications of their endorsements have roughly been about 54% over the years. And this starts from April to April every year. So this year, from April, there's been 460 applications so far. So it's quite high. I was a bit worried about COVID when, was anyone applying? But COVID, actually, people were home, so more people were applying. So I was very busy during COVID. And now, more people are still applying. The more people who receive the visa and talk about it, the more people know about it and the more people will apply. And these are just some of the stats as well by country, success rates for each country. So that's just stats for you to see, but don't let that put you off. I help a lot of people who are eligible, but then meeting the criteria is a whole nother thing. And then sometimes it's just the structure of your application that you just have to, you might need help in, and that's what I help. So there's some good stats from USA, China, Canada. So here, these are the people that are being endorsed because it's a tech visa, obviously software engineers mainly, but then people with business skills are endorsed as well, product management, data scientists. So you can see those people there. So the process, as I said, it's two-stage process, and within stage one, there's two steps. Stage one is the endorsement stage. That's what I help with. And it's £456. And the first step is once you've done your application, you pay and register online at the Home Office. And then once you've got that, then you've got 15 days to upload your documents onto the Tech Nation portal. Okay. When I applied, I had to print everything out and send it to Sheffield. It was like, I think it was like 100 pages or something, and I had to send it by registered mail just to make sure that they received it. But now it's all online. It's great, very easy. So you upload that. Then they can take up to 8 weeks to respond, but the average time is between 3 to 4 weeks to wait for a decision, and they will email you whether or not you're successful or unsuccessful. If you are unsuccessful, there is feedback that they provide to you, and then you can only appeal if there is a mistake in the assessor's decision. So things like they miss things in your application, or they read things and they didn't see it, and then they say that you didn't provide it. So that's the only reason why you should appeal, not because you didn't like the decision. So you've got 28 calendar days in which to respond to the feedback and appeal, and they've got 28 calendar days to come back to you to see whether or not you are really successful or unsuccessful. It goes to a different assessor. So only one assessor looks at your application, and then if they give you feedback, then you appeal and it goes to a different assessor to assess your application again, and then they will determine finally whether or not you are successful or unsuccessful. If you are successful, you go to stage 2, and this is a visa application. I don't help with this part because it's a legal requirement. So this is where you apply to the Home Office. You just need your letter from Tech Nation to say that you are successful in your application for endorsement. And then you have to make an appointment. You do your biometrics, take a picture, you and your family, and it's £152, but then you have to pay the biometrics fee and the immigration health surcharge fee. And that's the expensive bit. I think it's 624, I think, per year per person. So it can, and then you have to pay that up front depending on how long your visa is. So it could be in the thousands. When I applied, it was only 200 per year, but now it is quite a lot. But the good thing is, once you're endorsed, the second stage, the visa stage, is pretty easy. Like, that's why you would pay that amount, because, you're more like, hopefully you will get it. They still go through the legal checks, but 90% chance you will get it. And then that takes 3 to 8 weeks as well. Mine was very quick. I got it within sort of, I think, a week after I did my biometrics. So that this process is quite quick if you can get the appointment. So eligibility, you can have a technical or business skills. So just because this is a tech visa, it's not just people with tech skills, people with business skills can apply as well. But what they consider not suitable, and this is the main questions that I get asked, is people who work for consultants, consulting firms. They're not eligible because I'll go through this in a sec. Then, you know, people with business skills, they can't work for agencies, they have to work for product-led digital technology companies. You can be a founder or an employee to apply for this visa. A lot of people think that, you know, you have to be a tech entrepreneur, but in fact, there are more employees that apply and get the visa than the entrepreneurs who apply and get it. So that's just the stats, but I guess because a lot more people are employees than they are entrepreneurs, but I help both. So this is really important. What they want is for you to work for or provide evidence in your application of working for a product-led digital technology company. So it's all about working for a company that builds products. And it's defined as businesses that provide a proprietary, which means they own it, digital technical service, product, platform, hardware as their primary revenue source. Okay, so it's any products that they own, that they license or sell or by subscription to customers, and no consultancies or outsource. So they can't build products and then give it to their clients to then go and sell. It has to be their own products. And that's a new definition that was introduced last year. So what do you have to provide? It's 15 documents, about 3 pages each. That's about a 45-page, people say, PhD thesis of your career. Those 15 documents consist of these 5 documents that everyone has to provide, which is your CV, personal statement, and 3 letters of recommendations by experts. So that's the first 5 documents that everyone has to provide. The next 10 documents really depends on the criteria that you select, and you have to provide 10 documents to meet that criteria. So you can apply for exceptional talent or exceptional promise. Talent is if you have more than 5 years experience in the digital tech field. If you've got less than 5 years, then you go for promise. And the recent change in the guidelines this year is if you go for exceptional promise, they really think you should be early stage in your career. So that's the only change that they made this year. They clarified it to say those with exceptional promise should be early stage in their career with less than 5 years experience. Now, with the criteria, there's 5 criteria, and you select 3 out of 5 to make up your 10 documents. So everyone has to choose the mandatory criteria, which is leadership. You need to show thought leadership of growing a company, product, or team. Okay, and if you're a promise, obviously you say that you're a potential leader in this field, but if you're going under talent, you show that you are a leader in this field. I would say you need 3 examples of leadership. If you're strong, put 4 examples or 4 documents under this criteria. And then the next 4 options, you pick 2 out of 4. And again, you provide at least 3 examples of the criteria that you choose. So the 4 criteria are innovation. So you need to prove that you are innovative, or the work that you've done is innovative. The second one is proof of recognition for work outside of your immediate occupation that advances the digital tech sector. So it's about volunteer work and how you've advanced the digital tech sector. The third criteria is if you've had any commercial or technical or entrepreneurial impact to the field as a founder or employee of a product-led digital technology company. And the 4th criteria is if you've made any academic contributions. So if you've done any research or written any journal articles, work with universities, the like there. So you only need to choose 2 out of 4. A lot of people choose innovation and impact, but that doesn't mean that people don't choose the others. But this is what I've seen. Innovation is quite hard to prove because it's quite subjective. So people make a strategic decision not to include innovation, but choose the other criteria. But it really depends on what your evidence is before you choose the criteria. And that's what I help people with. Don't look at the criteria just yet. I just look at what examples you can provide and what evidence, and then that will determine what criteria we can select. So these are the common questions that I usually get when I speak to my clients or potential clients during discovery calls. First of all, are you eligible? Because there is a strict eligibility criteria. And again, if you are eligible, it really depends on how you can meet that criteria. How do you present your documents? What is relevant information? The criteria is very black and white, but people are grey. People are not black and white. They don't fit in boxes. So this is where I help. What is relevant information? What should you highlight in your application? And again, who can be your experts? Because there's criteria for experts as well, because they don't assess you. They assess your experts as well, because they have to be credible and they have to vouch for you, because the assessors is actually relying on your experts' opinion. So they have to be credible. How do you show your innovations, and how do you show your impact as well to meet the criteria, as well as how do you show that you're an exceptional leader? I had a lot of problems with this one, because you don't usually think that you are an exceptional leader. You just do your job and hopefully you're doing a good job. So you have to kind of switch your mind to think, okay, what is leadership? What is it that I'm providing to the community, and what expertise can I share? What's my knowledge? And do I have something important to say? And usually it's a yes, and then we'll craft and structure your documents in that way. And then again, I'd help a lot of people with appeals. If they've received an unsuccessful result, what should they do? It can be quite strategic, because feedback comes in. Look at the feedback. Is it worth actually appealing? Because it's 28 days and 28 days to respond. But if you just understand the feedback, maybe it's just best to just reapply. And that's what I help with as well. I help a lot of people just forget what you've done the first time around. Let's just use the feedback and reapply, just to save time and effort. And this is where I get a lot of my insights from when I help people with appeals, because the feedback comes back from assessors, and then that gives me a lot of insights to help other people submit their own applications. If I haven't spoken to you already, I offer free 15-minute discovery calls, but you just have to fill in an eligibility questionnaire as well. That's where I assess you and then have a chat to you about how you could meet the criteria and what examples you could have. So that's on my website. And then these are some of my top tips after being in the process myself, but also helping so many people along the way as well. Start early. This is from my experience of being a recipient. My visa was expiring in like 2 months. And I had an entrepreneur's visa, and that was expiring, and I found out about the global talent, and I had to apply very quickly, and I got a decision like a week before my visa expired. Otherwise I would have to leave and go back to Australia. So start early. You've got to budget. Okay, time as well. You've got to plan, you've got to implement, you've got to submit, and then if you are unsuccessful, you have to factor in the time to appeal as well. So it really does take a lot of time to just prepare very early. And I speak to people, a year before they apply, but just to get that process started, it does take a while. Have your application checked before submission, and Bosko will talk about this. I do a review before anyone submits if they want that, just a person just to check over who's outside of what they do in their day-to-day job, someone who has no idea what you do, to come in and check and make sure you fulfill the criteria, so that you highlight your achievements as well. Your network is your net worth. As I said, there's experts who need to vouch for you. I was so lucky that I built my network very quickly when I was living in the UK. But your network can be anyone from outside the UK. They expect you to have people outside of the UK because you're from another country. But pick them carefully. And sometimes people realize that their network isn't so great, so they spend time building that network. This process is also about self-promotion. If you can't promote yourself and tell someone how good you are, then how are they going to believe that you are? So, and this is something, it goes outside of your comfort zone to say how good you are, because in my culture, you don't say how good you are, but this process requires you to do that. And it's easier to have someone help you through that, because I can say, to anyone how good they are, because I'm really love working with people and just impressed by everything that they've achieved. Not that they may not think that themselves, but I do. So it's easier for me to help people promote themselves. And also prepare to put in the hard work. It isn't easy. I didn't sleep for 2 months when I was doing my application because I was on a time deadline. I was running my startup. I was busy. I was trying to meet the criteria. And there was not a lot of information when I applied. So it was hard work, but the reward was so worth it. I was so happy when I received my visa, because the bigger the reward, the bigger that's the investment is required by you. And I help people who don't, who are unsuccessful the first and second time, and then I help them the third time, because it's just the way it is. They come to me after the second time that they've applied, and they're like, okay, now I really need help because I've spent a whole year trying to apply myself, budget time, whatever. But then hopefully by the time I get to them, they get through, which they do. Okay, so that's it. And I hope that gave you a good snapshot to prepare you for the next part of my webinar, which is my interview with Bosko. He's an amazing tech entrepreneur who I met only a few months ago. Really so impressed by all of Bosko's achievements, even though, Bosko, you're very humble, and you didn't really think some of your achievements were worthy to note, but I'm glad I convinced you to put them down. But welcome so much, Bosko Radivojevic from Serbia. Thank you so much for coming to the webinar today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and thank you for having me here on the webinar. And while you was talking about all the issues, I was having my flashbacks. And then what you mentioned about self-promotion and culture, I mean that's a skill, and some people are already doing it and they can make a good story about themselves. But I'm also coming from a culture where promoting yourself and talking about yourself is something that is not seen as a good thing to do. So we would usually everyone likes to receive compliments, but we are not that confident in promoting ourselves. So it is a kind of a cultural thing as well. But also the way the tech nation or the UK government is let's say listing those criteria and listing those requirements, you start doubting whether what I'm doing is actually relevant for this kind of formal assessment.
Definitely, absolutely. And we'll go through in depth about everything that you've experienced. But first of all, you are a tech entrepreneur. I'd like you to introduce yourself and give people a little bit of a background about yourself.
Well, I'm in IT for ages, decades, centuries. I started quite early. I was lucky that both my parents were computer scientists, software engineers back in the 80s. So I was, I had the ability to start playing with programming quite early in my childhood, and that definitely defined my future path, and it made me to have a great hobby while I was going to school. But then my hobby became my profession, which is good and bad. I had also the timing is always important, and I think it can help you a lot and can discourage you a lot. So I get a good timing. In Serbia was booming internet and web and everything, and I was in the right place in the right time. I started my career working for one of the leading Serbian internet service providers that was really focused on business customers, not that much of personal customers, and also on providing some more advanced services. And that made my mindset into thinking how you can please big customers and how you can provide them some as a last mile access, and how you can provide them some additional and value added services and so on. And that led me to create a company together with my cousin. And we started in a very big and important moment in Serbia, when we started having those websites that created money. So they were finally some kind of commercialization out of having a website, portal, whatever. And they needed to find a way that they can survive kind of breaking news or big sales or big auditions or whatever they were trying to achieve on the web. And we provided them something that we called at the time fully managed web hosting. So we were responsible for completely everything that is in there: infrastructure, DevOps, site reliability engineering, everything as a one package. And then over the next 12 years, we developed and we progressed in the company and the market, and we started working with managing cloud services and managing public clouds, and that led me to a moment in my life when I said, okay, now I want to explore some worlds. And then I moved to UK in 2019. I did my master's degree at London Business School, and I was here in terms of visa on Tier 4 student visa. And then is the a moment when I started thinking how we can, as a family, actually stay in the UK for longer.
So you enjoyed the UK just like I did. You kind of think you're going to be there for a bit, and then you decide that you want to stay. Or
I'm
was that
kind of
always?
person because Serbia had like a turbulent times 90s, and somewhere quite early in that process I was very enthusiastic about staying in country, because a lot of people left the country in the turbulent times, and we had like brain drain that was very significant and that modeled the demographics, politics, everything in Serbia. And I was so stubborn that I will never leave Serbia or something like that. But then you in one moment you start thinking about, okay, maybe it is a good idea to explore at least. And one of the benefits of living in the UK is that you can actually be exposed to different cultures, different mindset, different people, which is something I really enjoy here.
Yeah. And over the years, 12 years of running your business, you then started another business. So you had two businesses. And then before you, I think when you were in London, you decided to exit.
Well, when exit is a question, it's part is your desire or your decision, but there need to be another side. There need to be opportunity to exit. So both things happened. So it was my decision, my desire, but on the other hand, we managed as a team to do the deal, both deals, which is something usually deals don't go through to the end, and we managed to do that. And actually that was kind of a plan. I will move here in the UK. I will finish my work and businesses in Serbia, so I can focus completely on the new market and new opportunities.
That's great. And you are right. Timing is everything, isn't it? It kind of all clicked, I think, for you, which is great. I know you worked hard for it. Things aren't, people say luck, but opportunity, timing, all that planning, preparing, it's all really important. So, okay, so you were on a student visa. Why did you decide to apply for the Global Talent?
So actually, the first time I heard about the exceptional talent visa was somewhere in the mid 2019.
Wow.
And I briefly looked at requirements and said, no, I'm not eligible for that one. And my friend, this is my friend from when I was really young kid, he said, no, you can do it. It's you, it's your name on those requirements list. And I said, like, no, I dismissed that idea completely. And it started to grow kind of a seed in myself. Maybe maybe I'm not that bad as I'm imagining. Maybe I can try that. And as you said, I was in the similar situation as you were in regards that my visa was expiring, and COVID started. So I was in the middle, but the first part of the middle of the process of preparing my documents for Global Talent, and I was thinking that I should be more pragmatical. So I applied for startup visa, which for me was easy to get endorsed by London Business School. I already had a kind of a business plan I was thinking about, because I'm thinking a lot about education and edtech, and based on that business plan, I got that endorsement. And for startup visa requirements are much easier, in my opinion. It is visa that is like not something you can plan your future on, but for me it was a kind of a segue. So let's deal with this pandemic on startup visa, and then find some better times to deal with something as complicated as Global Talent visa.
And was the Global Talent always going to be your plan, even though you had done the startup visa? Was the global talent the next step for you?
Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
the startup visa was just there because it was easy and quickly and less expensive to get. So as soon as my expiry date of startup visa came close, I started working on my global talent visa.
That's very strategic. That's really good to know, because, some people do come to me and want to go straight to global talent, but sometimes it's not possible. So it's good that you found a stopgap to help you and to give you time to prepare. So, okay, so what challenges did you face, or hesitations in applying for the global talent when you started the process?
Well, the first thing that I always mention is that criteria and the requirements are formal. And it is a formal process around something that is really pretty subjective, like you said, for the innovation and for how you will formally assess someone's business impact or impact around and after the work time and so on. So for me, that was my biggest concern, was whether I'm making a good story about what is my life. That was the kind of overall the big picture problem. But more into the matter, the problem is that the requirements focus you on the last 5 years, and in 3 of those 5 last years I was doing my masters and surviving pandemics, which was not a time for public speeches and for many. I wasn't generating enough evidence of my working and whatever, so my footprint in those 3 years declined a lot. So and I actually arrived to that conclusion that Google is your friend. I mean, I discovered so amazing things about myself just googling, and thank you for that advice. I mean, I spent like a night googling myself. Wow, this guy is great.
That's my job. My job is to make sure that you don't leave any stone unturned. You think about it, the assessors might be Googling you as well, and you'd be surprised. I Googled myself and I found things that I didn't know existed, and that's great as to be used as evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the when I approached you, I was in a kind of a situation. I had my documents almost finished in some form, but I was really unsure whether that was good or bad. I mean, it is very hard to look at those things from external point of view, and I needed definitely someone that will put a stamp on it and say that's great. But then I met you, and your approach was just generated a lot of more work for me, which I'm very helpful and I appreciated. But I think what I really liked is your attention to details, which is in today's world something that doesn't happen often. Usually people try to just do the job and continue doing something else. And you provided me some kind of detailed answers and detailed, I'd say, a way to look at the problem of promoting myself, and that really enabled me to redo the documents. So I think that after had that conversation with you and I received your report, I needed to redo everything, but okay.
You had a lot of it there. You really did. It's the detail. You had high level, as you own 2 successful companies. You were at that high level stage, but in this particular situation, it had to be quite detailed and structured in your story. It was there. We just needed to make it a bit more structured and Google everything about yourself. We also had, found so many things that needed to be translated as well. Some things needed to be translated, other things we just Google translated just to help tell the story. So that was really good. So who were your experts? You had some really good people, actually, because obviously you're highly in your career.
Yeah, that's something I'm kind of person I'm always trying to imagine who is like the ideal candidate for whatever, and I started making those lists. I remember one day I actually opened my LinkedIn and clicked on my network and started like, this is good. Oh, this person hates me. This one, and so on. So I created kind of a list, and fortunately I had like 10 names on the list. I had a conversation with majority of them, and then I made my decisions. Some of the people are not comfortable in providing such references. Some of them don't have time to do it because it is time-consuming process for them as well. Especially, they will produce like a first draft, and then I will review it. You will review it. We will ask from them to trash everything and start from the beginning. And so it is a kind of demanding process for all sides that are involved. But my idea was that I should cover kind of a different angles of my career. I try to have experts, referees that will that know me for a very long period of time, because being able to let's say live together with them, grow together with them on all kind of levels. I think that was something I expected is appreciated and can help see that our relationship is something that is sustainable and is there for many years. So the problem is that how you will actually assess the credibility of experts, whether they're experts or not. I mean, I believe that the same criteria that applies for eligibility for the visa applies as well for the eligibility of your experts, because if they are consultants, I'm not sure that they're credible to talk about your entrepreneurial or innovation or whatever. So in that regards, I decided to kind of have some kind of combination. I tried. You mentioned it at the beginning of this webinar about whether they should be related to the UK, and my initial idea was that I will need to have at least one person living in the UK, but at the end it was hard to have like to meet all these criteria that especially with COVID helped that my network is as it was at the end of my master's studies, so it's not a big one, and then it's a question whether they can credibly talk about my whole career if they know me only for 2.5 years and so on.
Yeah, you had really good people, senior people, and it is again, that's a strategic process. Is you had the list, but then you have to pick which ones are the best ones. Are they from the UK? If not, that's okay. If they're not from the UK, they can be from other countries. But yeah, you had a really good range: board members, chief officers, presidents and professors, and you did have a really good one. But not everyone can get that. So again, these guidelines are very black and white. You're great. You put in your best foot forward is what I'm saying. And then what criteria did you select out of the four?
So apart from leadership, it was mandatory. Thanks to your advice, I chose proof of recognition and the significant contributions and impact, how it is called. And it is, for me, it was very hard to distinguish between each criteria. For me, they all sound the same, and especially from the evidence perspective. It's I would read some reference letter or letter of support that I received from one of the organization I was related to, and I could see it fit for many different criteria, and also I could see it not fit for the specific criteria I wanted that the evidence to provide for. So it is the lack of I'd say formality and the formal way of be sure that that's the evidence that will help you is really problematic, that uncertainty around that, because whenever you're dealing with visas and those kind of applications, it is very clear what kind of document you need to buy, marriage certificate, that you have an apartment, job, money. It's very strict, and now you are in a situation where the requirements are really formalized, but the way you will provide evidence for them is everything and anything and nothing. So
Yeah.
in that regards, being able to work with you was really important for me.
Oh, that's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
As I said, you had such great documents. It was just enhancing what you had and showing them, because you had a lot of speaking engagements. If anyone wants to Google Bosko, please do, because you'll see loads. But you also had, really good pictures, which you didn't submit to begin with. And I found some pictures for you and said, this can be used as evidence. And you had letters from organizers, which were great, but adding the pictures in it to show that you actually did it.
That's where your attention to detail actually came very very important. So you showed me how that evidence should be structured, and that's really clever way of I will not just get kind of a letter of support from conference organizer, event organizer saying that I was invited, I did that talk, but also that to include like the screenshot from the speech itself from YouTube, and then to circle my and this is me and not someone guy in the audience, but I'm the one, and also providing some additional information about the event and how you will actually show. They are asking you to provide evidence of high caliber events, and what is high caliber is something that's really fluid. High caliber in London, high caliber in Belgrade is not the same thing, and I guess that way of showing your appearance is very important.
Definitely, and you had that, so we included that, and that's really good. I hope you're proud of your application now that you've done it. I think just seeing it now is so different from when you first started.
Yeah, whenever I feel down, I just go reread my application, and I feel like, ha, I'm the winner.
Do you know what? I did that as well. And a lot of my clients do. It's something that reminds you that you worked really hard on something, and to see it come to fruition and success, and looking back when you are feeling down, it's just something to G you up and to motivate you and to make you feel better, because it is a really good application. It really is.
Yeah, now I have my new BRP, so I can cut
Okay, so when did you submit your application? This is for stage 1 and stage 2, because you've got your visa now. So just give us some timings, because that's good to know.
I submitted my endorsement application on 20th of May, and that was so late. My plan was to do it by the end of March, like the latest end of March, but then I got that report from you, and I realized I'm not be able to do it in that time frame. And we had a half term and the term break at school, so we were traveling, and I was redoing everything. So and the response from, actually it is not from TechNation. You will receive the email from Home Office saying that they were advised by TechNation to give you the endorsement. That came 3 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied on Friday. On Monday, after that weekend, I received kind of confirmation that my application has been received, and then 3 weeks later I got an email, which is really hard to understand whether you're good or not. I needed to read it like 7 times, and to send it to my wife, just external control of that. Like, is it fine, or are we good or not? But yes, because the major thing is that they will give you a link for stage 2 application, and I was thinking they will not be sending me stage 2 link if I'm failed. So
I know, it's very formal, isn't it? I want them to say, yes, congratulations, you've been endorsed, but there's none of that. It's we formally, like it's very formal. And it's
I expected some fireworks as well.
Fireworks,
around now. The world was completely the same before the email and after.
Yeah, that's true. And then, so that was 20th of May you submitted, and you got your response on the 13th of June. So that's 3 weeks. Yes. And then you submitted your visa. Was it the day after you got your endorsement?
Yeah, the the same night.
Same night. Okay.
Absolutely, because I didn't want to wait any longer, and the problem is, as COVID started, there is a constant lack of appointments
Yeah.
for biometrics. So I needed to choose like how it is called, premier location, because all the other appointments were non-existent in London. So and after that, just 2 weeks later, I was able to submit everything and to receive the visa decision letter. It was a bit more than 2 weeks, maybe 20 days.
Okay. So it's not too bad. It's just the appointments
Yeah,
that you pay for the premium. Yeah.
Of course, my process of thinking before that was, okay, once I get that endorsement, stage 2 is just formality, and then when you start stage 2 application, then you start to think again, oh, is this good, is this bad, is this what they're asking me, because you're asked to provide your endorsement letter, but you will never get a letter, just an email. So should it be with Gmail headers or not? And if you start that thinking process, but everything was really smooth.
Yeah, that's good. Phew. Okay, so you've got your visa now. Everything's all sorted. So you got that on the 1st of July, so only just 7 days ago, and you've already traveled on the new visa. Yeah. Tell us, what did the customs officer ask you when you came back to the UK?
At immigration, the officer asked me, he looked at my BRP and saying, global talent, and what is your talent, mister? I said, like singing in the shower, juggling with the 3 balls. But yeah, I explained it's a digital technology, and that was really a smooth process.
Very good. So you already got asked the question 7 days after you got your visa. What is your talent?
My talent is to receive visa on time.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so all happy news. Now looking back at the process and everything, what advice would you give to others going through the process and in your shoes now?
Well, you at the beginning, you should stop being humble or pretend to be humble. So you need to think about yourself as the biggest man or woman ever on this planet, and that will help you from that attitude perspective. So you shouldn't really underestimate your experiences, because maybe it's a cultural thing, but we tend to say whatever we are doing in the past, it looks like, okay, that was easy, and we always anticipate the things that are coming are more and more challenging or whatever. So from that perspective, my thinking is, as you're reading these requirements for global talent visa, I think it's a really good step, and it's a good kind of assurance that you can do it. I mean, you wouldn't be thinking about global talent visa if you really don't see yourself having that potential for that process. And it is really interesting, as the process is not like waterfall process, I'd say it in because you start writing, I know, your evidences, your CV, your personal statement, and then you will receive your reference letters, and then you will need to redo your story a couple of times, because what I actually learned from you is that this is a story about yourself. It is not like a bunch of files that will show that you have something here and there, but and from that point of view, you're constantly making changes and adapting that story. You're trying to find an angle that will show you in the best possible way.
Absolutely.
And that is, I mean, planning the whole thing and the whole application process is very, very important. It is time consuming. Unfortunately, you cannot pay someone to do that for you, and you need to put your to increase and to enhance your writing style. You need to think about it, grammar and everything like that, but also you need to find what is like the best angle for you, what is your talent, what is your thing that you're good at, and to present it as best as possible.
Yeah, and that's really important. You are right in that no one can write your application for you. Like, I don't write client's applications.
Absolutely, but I think it is very important to emphasize that having kind of external support is very important, because if I look at my documents before I started working with you and after, it's completely different documents. I mean, maybe a single word stayed in my personal statement. But it is because when you're working with someone that is, paying attention to details and also have a lot of experience with different applications, then can reassure you that you're doing the good thing. And it's not only, your stamp, like this is good application, but also your insights and your ideas how we can change things. I mean, you were constantly saying, like, you have 3 pages for every single document. Use all of them, because at the beginning my evidence was just 1 page. Wow, it's just a screenshot. But then use all pages, and don't use pages in portrait mode. You can do it in landscape, and then have actually 2 portraits on that. So I managed to probably squeeze like hundreds of documents into just 84 pages of my applications. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. That's really good advice. Thank you. And how do you feel now that you've got your visa? I know you're smiling now, obviously.
I feel like king of the world, because if UK government endorsed me and said you are the global talent, it means probably something that I'm maybe really a good guy after all. I mean, it is the feeling is great from the perspective, finally something big is done, so I can focus on other things as well. But yes, that moment that someone stamped, because in when you're an entrepreneur or you're in tech in general, it's a high-speed thing. Things are just happening, and there is no much time for reflection and understanding, thinking about what you have done and what is in the future, what was the past, and so on. And this kind of process is like very self-reflective, and there is something beneficial in doing that, definitely.
Oh, I'm so pleased, Bosko. Thank you so much for your insights. It's really, really nice to speak to you. You are a different person, actually. You've got so much more confidence in yourself. You're no longer hungry, like, yeah, I'm good, I'm king of the world, which is really good to see.
Pretending that I'm humble. But what Google knows about me, that's amazing.
Oh, perfect. So I've got a question here. Thank you very much. I've got one question. I know we're running out of time, but I just want to ask this one, because this is really important, and you're the perfect person to answer this question. Is Frank's asked, how does he build his network?
Well, that's whenever you're doing something, you're dealing with people, and the question is how you will make impact on that people, so they will respond to your emails. I think that's the whenever you are in communication with someone, you should think about that you make that kind of communication beneficial for both parties. So for example, you're in my communication started me begging you to help me, but we ended up doing this webinar and being very kind of a friendly chat. And this is I think the best way to build your network is to be kind with people that you are dealing with, and to always try to provide more than it is asked from you. And there are a lot of I was exploring some applications that are helping you build your network, and they will give you like a reminder. So contact Michelle and ask her if her dog is fine, or it's kind of probably some people are able to do it strategically and organized but I really believe in kind of being kind with other people, and be there for them, and whenever you are asked something to do it the best as you can do, and be thoughtful about how do you deal and how you actually make your way through this world.
That's really nice. That's very good, Frank. I hope that answers your question. For me, I built my network by just talking to people, going to events and sharing my knowledge and expertise however I can to help them. If they've got a question, I can signpost them, following it up by email or connecting with them on LinkedIn. I write a lot of articles and speak at events, and doing that increases your network, because then you get people coming up to talk to you, and then that's how you start the relationship conversations and try to continue that. It is work, like building a network is hard work, but hopefully you'll be able to build some really strong relationships from that. Thanks for that question. I really like that question. So someone is new in the fintech space and the fintech product is going live in 3 days. It's product led. What are your chances? That's only one example. So I can't give you a definitive answer from just one example of perhaps innovation. It can't be used under impact or significant contributions because it's nothing's happened just yet. So it could be used as one of the 10 documents for evidence, but I don't know what your chances are, but that's a good start, I would say. Yeah. So Frank, you're a freelancer. How do you gather your documents and evidence? Bosco, how do you gather the documents and evidence?
Well, that's a
Google yourself.
hard process, but yes, I think that it's actually very important to identify, let's call them events. I think if you organize your evidence around events, whatever you classify as event, product launch, public speech, article in some magazine, or any kind of interaction that happened, selling the company, founding the company, deciding to do this, you can pretty much look at your life like series of events. You can put it on a timeline, and if you organize your thought process about generating evidence around those events, I think that it helped me a lot. I actually did that timeline of my work, and I was looking like, this is good, this is not good, and that really helped me to think about my career so far. The good thing for people that are starting now is that things are now much quicker and there are more opportunities, and then I think that the whole idea of the global talent visa is really like very great one. And I think that that recognition from the UK government that actually people from out of the UK can actually bring some expertise and some knowledge and some new energy, whatever, is actually very, very good one. So that means that our experiences matter. So we should think about them and organize that evidence creation process around them.
Yeah, definitely. When in my strategy sessions, I focus more on, and we didn't have one because you just wanted me to review, but what I do is I ask you to reflect on your career in the last 5 to 7 years, but I focus on what did you do in each job first, because that then determines the products that you've built or worked on and the projects. And then we work through that. And then obviously who can vouch for you. And we slowly start to build things out. So I ask you to look at projects and the companies that you've worked for, and that starts the timeline. And then we go through the documents and evidence that you can create. So I hope that helps. I mean, Frank, I'm not sure if I've spoken to you. Your name does sound familiar, but if you want to go for another discovery call, we can have another chat because it may have been a while. And I guess, the guidelines have changed as well. So I know we've run out of time, but I hope, wait, I've got one question here. Samuel, can I use different evidence from different fields, like combine front-end experience with back-end and or DevOps? Yep. Again, it's about telling your story. So I have a lot of people, and I know, Bosko, you've got a technical skill definitely, but you have a bit of a commercial business skill as well. Like, that kind of, and it depends how you want to angle your evidence. So if you want to focus more on technical in any of your evidence, yes. But then if you want to focus more on business or public speaking, because a lot of technical people sometimes don't speak, but you did, you can focus on that. So it really depends. It's about telling your story. As I said, not everyone is black and white.
Yeah,
They're all gray.
One of the problems for me, being an entrepreneur means you need to do everything. So if you look at my CV, no one can answer the question who I am. Am I driving for my company, or doing some technical solutions, or I'm negotiating contracts. So when you're an entrepreneur, you are doing all of that. And I think being able to collect your evidence from different fields, as Samuel said, I think it is something that will definitely help you to get that endorsement.
Definitely, I agree. So I think we'll leave it at that. I know we're a bit over, and thank you, Bosko, for giving up your time so graciously and for helping and being so kind to share your insights with a new network now. And I hope you do join the alumni group, because I know you have so many insights and knowledge to share with them. And if you have any questions, they can always answer your questions. And obviously we can keep in touch. And my dog is fine, thank you. Yeah, so I really do appreciate it. And one more question before we say goodbye. What are your exciting plans now?
Well, now it's hard to answer that question because it is sun outside. But if you ask me on Friday, I would say I'm definitely going to Greece as soon as one of my flights is not cancelled. But in the serious side of myself, I will continue working on some new startup. I'm definitely looking to expand my experiences in education and edtech field a lot. And I think that, as I mentioned a bit earlier, our networks and our experiences for out of the UK are important. And I think being able to be a bridge between the UK and your home country will definitely bring benefits both to the UK and your home country. And I think that if we can devote like 20% of our time in, let's say, closing that gap between different countries and connecting people, I think that we can make a lot of benefits for the whole communities and all the universe, if you want.
Again, very good advice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it's so lovely to catch up with you. Best of luck in everything. And everyone, watch this space, because I know Bosko is going to, you're going to appear in the news, building up another great startup and building a great business in the UK.
The guy eaten by shark on the... Something like that. Okay.
Or your singing career is going to take off.
We'll see. Thank you very much for the invitation. It was a really pleasure to work with you and to be here. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.